I built a print flasher. What's up, YouTube? I have finally been able to get back in my darkroom a little bit, and that has got me really excited. I've wanted to make a separate print flasher for some time, but just have not done it. Partly because I would often read things to the effect that like multi-contrast papers, just flashing isn't necessary when you use them, and because you can just burn down the highlights with a yellow grade filter or a low grade filter. Now, in my opinion, this is mostly not true. Flashing can definitely aid in burning down the highlights, and it has some real advantages. For one, you can do both, and it'll make burning down the highlights much easier. Anyway, my stance is that print flashing is an invaluable tool even with today's multi-contrast papers. Before I made this, I would use diffusion under my enlarger lens to flash my prints, and this works fine, but it has one big disadvantage. So for different enlargements, you know, if the enlarger's up higher or lower, I would always have to make a test strip for my flashing for almost every print, and this takes a lot of time. So with a separate enlarger or flashing source, I can have a standard flashing time and distance for a given paper and developer. This saves a ton of time. Right now I have it set up that where it is standard, I know 6 seconds with Ilford multi-grade warm tone and Ansco 130 1:1 at 70 degrees, it's gonna give me a perfect flash time. So I might wanna go ahead and like spot check this over time, but I mean, Ilford's paper is really consistent, so I'm pretty confident that I can just set it up and it's gonna be good to go. I don't have to always make test strips every time I wanna use flashing. Anyway, I wanted to share with you this little, this little flasher that I made. I actually came across, this was Joe Van Cleve's YouTube channel, and he explains in great detail how he made this. So a huge thanks to him. There is a link in the description below to that video because like I said, he really breaks it down on how he wired it up and everything. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I did have to deviate from his plans a little bit. So let me just see if I can pull this apart, because this is just threaded into the plastic, so I got a feeling I'm gonna have to end up putting some glue in here at one time, but I'll kind of show you. So I just drilled and threaded my quick release plate in here. So I did have to deviate from his plans a little, as this light socket was different than the one that he used. Now I found this one at just a local Menards, and what I had to do is and I found it, and then I had this is a 1.5 tube. I believe he used a 2-inch tube, and it almost fit in here, but it had this little rubber gasket, so I just took and shaved this off until it fit in here nice and snugly, like so. And then I simply used the cord, I put it through here, I wired it up, and then I just put tape on here to keep that from pulling out. So yeah, but it works really good. There we go. So I trimmed the socket down, and then it just made a nice snug fit in there. So it's basically an 1.5 ABS with 2 caps on it, with a wired 7.5 watt nightlight bulb. Another thing I did, I got black shavings from where I cut it everywhere. So another thing I did was I picked up a couple more of these caps, and I drilled, so this was a standard size, I drilled some smaller apertures or holes, and what this allows me to do is do some selective flashing with it underneath the enlarger. So I do this by projecting the image on the easel, and then I put the red filter in front of the lens, and that allows me to go under and selectively flash areas of the print. So that is really cool. I also have a cap with this is the standard, or my standard hole for standard flashing that I use. I also threaded this, which now that I unthreaded it, it should still work pretty good, but I got a feeling, because it's just I drilled a hole and just like cranked in there to manually thread it because I couldn't find my tap and die. But I think I might have to put some glue in there, but we'll see if it holds up again. And that allows me to attach it to my copy stand. And like I said, I have a standard set height marked on the column. And I have this plugged into my old Gray Lab Darkroom timer, which I really like because it even has a foot switch. So now I have 2 foot switches. I feel like a badass drummer or something. But even if I didn't have that, I could probably just take the cord over into my enlarger timer without too much hassle, and it would probably work just fine. Lastly, let me see. I bought some gels to color the light, to either affect the low contrast emulsion or the high contrast emulsion in the paper. That, or I also got some ND, just neutral density film, in case I needed to, dampen it down or dull down the light at all. And then I just cut them, and that fits right in there. And then it just goes right in there, and then pops on. And then I have green light, which will affect the low contrast emulsion layer more. So if I want to target just the highlights, that's going to work really well. So I find this flasher, I find this flasher, this little thing that I made, really invaluable for litho printing and just for printing in general. And I really wish I had made this years ago, because I believe I came across that video quite a while ago, and it was always in my head. I'm like, oh, that looked pretty easy. I should make this because sometimes I do use flashing, and a lot of times I would want to, and I'd be like, well, I don't want to do a test strip. I don't want to, just be a big pain in the butt. Like I said, I wish I would have made this a long time ago, because, part of me, I've always wanted, I think part of it in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm gonna get a condenser enlarger and put it where my copy stand is, because I've always wanted one for like grainier prints, doing litho prints, and just grainier enlargements in general. And I still plan on doing it, but I was kind of waiting for that to happen, and this was so easy to make that I just wish I had done it sooner. So this little gizmo has already helped me print some negatives that had stumped me, and with the selective flashing and stuff. And so I've been super excited about it, and I wanted to share it with y'all. I've been slowly getting back into the darkroom after I've been having some COVID-related health issues, just keeping me out of there for some time, and I'm itching to get back in there more. I really appreciate everybody encouraging me to make more darkroom vids, and I look forward to doing it. So we'll see you soon.